Hey guys, what's up? It's Stephanie. I am back today with another video, and for those of you who are new to my channel or are watching this video for the first time, welcome to my channel. I am a pre-PA student who was just accepted to PA school. I'll be starting PA school in about a month, so I'm really excited to share my journey with you guys. I make videos providing tips for individuals who are interested in pursuing the PA career. I want to be able to help you guys out in getting accepted to PA school, and hopefully you guys learn from my experience and the mistakes I've made. So back to the topic of the video for today. I had a subscriber comment asking me if I can make a video about the GRE, basically if I have any tips, my experience taking the GRE, my study habits, etc. So here is the video. So if you're interested, just keep watching and I will discuss that. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. Alright guys, so if you haven't seen my previous videos, in my other video I talk about how I was accepted to PA school with a low GRE score. I took the GRE twice and I scored less than 300 overall for both years, so I didn't score that well. So if you're interested in me just discussing my GRE score, make sure you watch that video and I will have the link at the end of this video so you can watch that video if you're interested. Now for the topic for today, what I did to study. I have test anxiety, so I get really nervous when I'm taking exams, and I think this is one of the issues I had when taking the GRE. I was extremely nervous, so that may have been one of the factors that may have been against me when I took the exam as to why I didn't do so well. In addition, I am very bad when it comes to math, and that's actually one of my weaknesses. So I made sure that when I was studying for the GRE, I focused more on the math part than any other section. I love writing and I love English, so I studied, but not as much as the math portion. So my tip is to ask yourself what is your weakness, whether it is English. For example, in my sister's case, her weakness is English and her strength is math. So she focused a lot more on the English section. And it's interesting because she didn't study that much for the math portion and she's got a higher score in the math portion than I did. So it just depends on what your weakness is. Ask yourself and just make sure you study whatever your weakness is, whether it's the English portion, the writing portion, or the math portion. So on the GRE, you're going to have three sections. You're going to have your verbal reasoning, which is usually you'll have sentences where you have to complete. You'll have a list of words, and you are responsible for making sure that you know what the words are, what the word means, to be able to define the word, because you'll have a word bank, and from that word bank you will place that word into the sentence that you feel whichever word best matches the description. Also in this portion, I remember that I had paragraphs that I had to read, and from that paragraph they would ask you a question. So this was actually pretty difficult for me, this portion, because I felt like I was running out of time, and these questions were actually at the end of the verbal reasoning section. So my recommendation is to skip questions. For example, if you're at the beginning and you have sentences and there's some words that you don't know, skip the questions and then come back to them if you have time. The mistake I made the first time when I took the exam is that I took too long. At the beginning of the section, I took too long trying to remember what the words meant, and that actually counted against me because at the end I ran out of time. So I was just answering questions randomly. So make sure that when you're going through the questions, to skip any questions that you don't know. At the end, you want to be able to save time for those paragraphs that you have to read of stories. Usually you have about 3 stories and then a few questions for each story. It's about a paragraph or two. And for example, from one story or excerpt, how they call it, they'll ask you about 3 questions. So if I were you, and what I did the second year that I took the GRE, because I took it twice, like I said, I just made sure that I skipped the questions that I didn't know and took more time in answering these questions. Now for the verbal reasoning part, this part is, I love reading, and I love anything that has to do with learning words. So this section, what I use, being that I did drive about an hour from school to home almost every day, I made sure that I used that hour well. So I listened to podcasts. One of the podcasts that I recommend is called Victor Prep. It's VICTOR PREP. I have an iPhone, so I downloaded it from the Apple store. He says that you're able to go to his website also, and he has the podcasts on there if you have Androids. And I downloaded his podcast. He's awesome. So in this podcast, he goes through several words that are on the GRE, and this really helped me out because as I drove from school to home, I would listen to these podcasts over and over again, making sure that I drilled those words into my head, because they ask you some pretty difficult words on the GRE. So if you're not really good with English, or if English is your second language, this can be a struggle for you. I know it was a struggle for my sister. Now the second part is a quantitative reasoning portion. This is mathematics. This is the part I actually struggled a lot with because I just struggle with math in general. So what I did for this section is that I used Magoosh. It's Magoosh, magoosh.com. They have a section for the GRE, and I really recommend this because it's awesome. It really helped me out. They have a lot of videos. I didn't finish all the videos because I was in a time crunch, but they have a lot of videos with math, and they go through every section. They go through algebra, geometry, etc. So you're able to watch every video. And then at the end, they have like a little mini quiz, and they'll have questions for you similar to the GRE. And these questions, no lie, that were on the Magoosh were almost identical to the GRE. So this really helped me out. I really recommend it. Once again, it's called Magoosh. They also have an English portion and a writing portion also. The portion for the writing on Magoosh was also amazing because you have a teacher or a tutor that also provides videos, and they tell you how to answer certain questions that they will ask you on the writing portion and how to write appropriately to be able to get the highest score possible. For the analytical section, I actually didn't study that much for this because, like I said, I love writing. Both of the times that I took it, I got a 4.5. But I know my sister, she struggles with writing, so she did study a lot for this portion. She also used the Magoosh since we both used it, and just wrote over and over again. They have some prompts similar to the GRE ones, and you just answer those prompts, and that's what she did. Also, interestingly, if you go to the ETS website, they'll give you all the prompts that the GRE has. They have so many, and it's just impossible to answer each one. I tried, but it was just, there was so many. So go ahead and look at that. You can go to the ETS website. That's the official GRE website for the exams. And then they have all the prompts or questions that they ask for the analytical portion. Now, for most schools, they do require 150 or higher on the GRE. Some of the schools I researched stated that they required 150 on the GRE, both on the quantitative reasoning portion and the verbal reasoning portion. If you see my other video, I actually scored below that. So, but hey, I got in. This shows to tell you that they don't only look at your GRE, but they look at your application as a whole. So I can't stress enough that if you have a low GRE score, don't worry about it. I took it twice, and the second time I took it, there wasn't a significant change. It was still below 150 for both the analytical and the quantitative section. So overall, for both, they want you to have higher than 300, and mine was not higher than 300 either. So overall, in a nutshell, the GRE, it's composed of 3 sections. You're gonna have your verbal reasoning, your analytical reasoning, which is a math portion, and then you're gonna have your analytical writing portion. So it's gonna be 3 sections. They are all timed. The first section that I started with was the writing section. They do provide you with sheets of paper and also a pencil. You're not allowed to take in a calculator, at least I wasn't. You can only use the calculator on the computer. So for this, what I did also is I practiced using the keys, the number keys on the computer, so I could be fast typing in the numbers. One of the tips that Magoosh gave is to be able to use your head when making calculations because it's a lot faster. And they provide great tips on how to be able to calculate quickly in your head. And I really recommend this also because it takes time to input the keys on the calculator. And sometimes the calculator is just really slow. So if you're able to make calculations faster in your head, I really recommend this for the math portion because it's timed. I ran out of time in this section and I didn't do too well in the math section. I mean, it's already my one of my weaknesses, and being that I have test anxiety, it was just a disaster. But overall, I'm so glad I'm done with it. I got accepted into PA school, so thank goodness, because I was dreading having to take it again. But overall, guys, good luck on the exam. I know it's really difficult for me. I studied the first time. I studied for a few weeks. I didn't study that much. The second time I applied, I studied for a month. It was really hard, though, to be honest, to make time to sit and study for the GRE, especially with everything I had going on. During that summer, I was working 2 jobs, and then on top of that, I was doing research, so it was just really busy. So it was really hard to study. But try to make that time. I know when I was taking the exam, I wished that I would have studied more, especially for even though I love English, the verbal reasoning portion, you get some really long words that I've never heard of. Thankfully, I speak Spanish, so some of the words that popped up had like a Latin verb. So I was able to answer them just knowing what they mean in Spanish, but this didn't help me for the majority of them, just for some of them. This is where the podcast Victor Prep came into play. I really recommend this, guys, and it's free, especially if you have long drives to work, etc. Or if even when you go work out, I would listen to them. If I went to the gym for an hour, I just made sure I was listening to the podcast because repetition is the key. And I listened to those podcast episodes over and over again. I think he has more than 50 of them, and he goes through about 5 words through each episode. So it's really helpful if you're driving or if you're working out. Like I said, repetition is the key. And of course, Magoosh was awesome. I really recommend this, especially for the math portion, because like I said, they will teach you how to calculate in your head, not without having to use the calculator and just waste time. So these are my tips for the GRE. Good luck, guys. For those of you who have test anxiety as I do, I know it can be difficult, but just stay calm. And at the end, when you finish taking your exam, it'll give you your score, but it won't give you your score for your analytical writing portion because they will send that and someone else grades that. So you will get only your score for the other 2 sections, and then at the end you have the option to send it to, I think it was 5 schools, and you don't have to pay for that. So make sure that before you go and take the GRE that you have a list of the schools that you're going to apply to, because you're saving money there if you know the schools. If not, you know, once you're done taking the GRE, then you have to pay, I think it's about $20 for each school that you're going to send the GRE to. So for example, when I applied the second time, I applied to 15 schools. Some of the schools didn't require the GRE, but the majority of them did. So it gets pretty expensive having to spend, say, for example, $20 for each school. I mean, you can easily spend about $100 just for 4 schools. So another tip is that before you go to take your GRE, make sure that you have a list in your head of the schools that you want to apply to. That way, at the end of the GRE, you're able to send the GRE to them, and you don't have to pay extra because it's already included in whatever you paid for your GRE exam. Alright guys, so I hope these tips helped you guys out. If not, comment below and I will make another video. I will be more clearer. Also, if you have any other questions for me, feel free to comment below. I will cater to you guys. I am here for you guys. I start PA school soon, so I'm trying to make as many videos as possible. Like I've said before, I want to be able to help you guys to get into PA school. I was in your guys' shoe a few years ago, so I know how stressful and just like nerve-wracking it can be. But once you get that acceptance letter, it is totally worth it, guys. It is totally worth it. Alright guys, thanks for watching my videos. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any feedback for me, say if I rant a lot, which I tend to do, and I'm trying to decrease, I'm so sorry guys, and I'm trying to be more brief on my videos, and I'm ranting right now, sorry. But leave me feedback or send me an email, guys. Alright guys, thanks for watching my videos, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.